Cyberleek has dropped the Lucia prologue. Yeah, they did it. A good 4 minutes of Lucia's prologue of, gameplay of her in prison. And I mean, it was a pretty interesting watch. It was nice to actually, see more of Lucia. To be quite honest, it was good to kind of see more of her character, get a feel for her personality. She is certainly spicier than what I thought, which is nice. I get a refreshing kind of vibe from Lucia. Nothing like we've probably ever seen before. Interestingly enough, in the prologue itself, the watermark that Cyberleek apparently likes to leave, this time read, quote, "This build is actually recent and the game is not ready at all." Sony and Rockstar are killing your right to own and resell your games, and Rockstar is killing their own employees too. The work required to reach gold is way too much for so little time. Trading volume/price is how CL measures your support. CL will not continue without support. You decide. Okay, so unquote. Notably, this build is actually recent, which we can, I feel like, all believe. Those of us who have watched the leaks. I get the fact that some people haven't, and I respect that. It's a fair point, right? I get it. I get why. Side note, some people are watching the leaks because obviously we want to know what we're spending our money on. We haven't seen much at this point. A few hours before the extended look, by the way, I'm filming this. And so yeah, kind of want to see more. But I get why also you wouldn't want spoilers, so there's that. It's not actually ready. The game is not actually ready according to Cyberleek, which is a very interesting thing to note, because in the response of Rockstar, they kind of insinuate that and kind of say that in black and white, which is crazy, but I'll get to that in a minute. The work required to reach gold is way too much for so little time. This isn't the first time we've heard of Rockstar employees working really hard to finish a game. Red Dead 2, for example, Dan Houser did come out and say in like 2018 something about Rockstar employees were working over 100 plus hours a week. I think it was the creative senior writing team, I think, which is like 14 hours, 7 days a week, which is insane. But that was to finish up Red Dead 2, so I wouldn't be not entirely, my face is not surprised about hearing, this accusation of the employees are being overworked. But it does kind of also sound like maybe there's some truth in the fact that the game might not actually be fully finished. I don't really know what that means, and I feel like if Cyberleek actually specified a little bit more what they meant by the game is not ready at all, that would have landed a little bit better, would have hit a little bit harder, I think, with the people. We would have understood what you meant, first of all, mainly. What I have noticed through these leaks, to be fair, is how buggy they are. They are really buggy. Quite buggy. Some funny bugs have occurred in these leaks that are apparent, but aren't game stopping from what I've seen. So yeah, maybe it's just very buggy at this point, and maybe they're trying to fix that to a degree, and maybe that's partially why it's been delayed a few times. So in the statement that Rockstar Games releases yesterday on their Instagram in response to these leaks, they said, "Dear all, we know that many of you have been waiting to hear from us regarding the events of the past week. It would be an understatement to say that having Grand Theft Auto gameplay leak in this way has been heartbreaking for our team. This is obviously not how we intended for you to see the game after all this time. We are very sorry that everything has taken as long as it has, from getting the game finished, nearly there, in brackets, to sharing more details and official gameplay and providing the community with everything you want to know. We are very excited for everyone to see the extended look tomorrow. It has taken longer than we wanted to get it ready, but as with everything we do, we know we want to exceed your expectations, and we are determined to deliver at the level you expect and deserve. While it is unfortunate that the intended game experience may now be impacted by some spoilers, we hope that everyone will wait a bit longer to experience the game for themselves November 19th. We want to thank everyone in the community who has reached out with messages of support this past week. Your words have meant more to this team than you can imagine. Ultimately, we are making this game for you, and without you, we would not have the privilege of making games. We look forward to sharing more with you soon. Sincerely, Rockstar Games. So, it's a heartfelt message. Yeah, it's sincere, right? Sweet, warm, pulls on your heartstrings, makes you feel guilty for even watching the leaks, for even trying to even. For me, only to a degree. I'm not going to lose sight of the actual issue here, of why players are frustrated and why I'm frustrated personally, and that is because I feel like Rockstar are completely negating their power and influence to actually sway the gaming industry in a positive direction that can very much be impactful for players and beneficial for everyone in the long term. It's obvious that players want to keep physical copies and physical ownership alive. It's obvious that ownership of games is definitely in question. It's not even just about discs, but it's about, ownership and what that means. GTA 6 actually does play a role. With great power comes great responsibility, and I feel like that definitely applies here. And, Rockstar, Take-Two are basically saying, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea. Anyway, pre-orders are now available for people to buy, Oh, and here's some gameplay, right? I have read somewhere that Cyberleeks actually has leaked a good 15, 20, 25 minutes worth of actual gameplay of the game. And to this hour, on this day, we have gotten 4 minutes of official GTA 6 footage. Not even gameplay, just footage, roughly. And in comparison, when you compare the two, it's a little shocking, but it's also quite understandable as to why people are frustrated with the management style of Take-Two for GTA 6. Just the pattern of behavior that has seemingly not been in favor of players or fans of Rockstar. There's several issues as to why I feel like people aren't too happy, or a good majority of people aren't too happy with Rockstar, aren't too happy with even just the way GTA 6 is being managed, handled, marketed. But ultimately I feel like the main issue and the most important is just how GTA 6 can really impact the gaming industry for the better if they really wanted to. But it doesn't really feel like they want to. It doesn't really feel like, they care to. It's not on the devs. That is definitely entirely 100% on, CEO Strauss with, the people who are making decisions on behalf of the game. So more specifically in Rockstar's response, saying, quote, "From getting the game finished, brackets, nearly there, unquote." I mean, from getting the game finished, nearly there. They're literally saying the game, technically, they're saying the game isn't finished yet, and it's a few months out. I don't know what that means. I don't know why. They've had, we all know, a hell of a lot of time on this game. Why they're having to take longer than they expected to make it and to give us a better look of the game. I don't know. I don't know why that is the case. People have already bought the game, you know? It's interesting, particularly as you correlate that with what Cyberleek is saying. Certainly, as I've said, I'm empathizing, but only to a degree with the situation, because I don't really feel like they're empathizing for us as players, as gamers, who are voicing our frustration about the fact that we don't want a no physical, you know, taking our ownership away direction of gaming. That's not what we want. We would like, you know, physical copies. We would like to prove that, and we would like to have the option, particularly for GTA 6, to have GTA 6 as a physical copy, even now, because believe it or not, I still believe it's very possible. I feel like they could refund people with pre-orders and be like, you can, or swap it to get a physical copy or something. They could do something. They have the resources. They will make the money back. They have made the money back. They're making profit. Like, you know, like they have the resources to be able to even now get GTA 6 as a physical copy and get them on physical copies. That, to be honest, should have been maybe the statement. If we're going to be entirely honest, maybe that should have been the statement. Yes, we're heartbroken about the events of this past week, but we also hear the frustration and things like that from players, and recognize our power and influence in the gaming industry. And we are now going to make GTA 6 available as a physical copy for players to purchase if they so choose. I mean, that would have been a beautiful statement. A beautiful statement. And guess what? Cyberleek would have been bye-bye. Cyberleek would have been instant villain. People are very much proactively prioritizing and making it a point to invest in physical games because that's what they want. They really do. We do. And certainly if anybody has the resources, if anybody can do it, if anyone has the money and the games, it's Rockstar. So, you know, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you make GTA 6 available for physical? Xbox CEO Asher Sharma came out, this is 15 hours ago this was published, and spoke to a BBC reporter, Laura Kress, to say this: I know players love physical media, and I know there's a lot of benefits in digital media, and I want to make sure people have a choice. There are stacks of games on everybody's shelves. We are announcing the ability for players for 1,000 titles with physical discs to be able to have a digital entitlement. We've long pioneered backwards compatibility, and so you'll continue to see that as we go forward in the generations. This next generation, we have to be thinking about efficiency and affordability alongside performance. Thinking about efficiency and affordability, what's efficient and what's affordable? No discs. What's the quickest way to get games out and sell games? And what's also cheaper? Well, selling games digitally and, you know, not printing them on discs. What does that mean? It sounds like Xbox is feeling like they're going to go in the no disc drive direction, right? They're going to go discless too, it sounds like. Well, the article goes on to say, speaking to my own Xbox hardware sources, I was told that it's less about the discs themselves and more about the supply chain around optical disc drives collapsing. Factories and assembly lines, previously orientated around making optical disc drives, are moving towards other, more lucrative and more scalable industries, such as camera lenses and the like. Demand for the optical disc drives revolves entirely around Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 right now, with laptops and Blu-ray devices phasing out the tech. I'm getting goosebumps. It's so heartbreaking. It really is. That Xbox and Sony alone is what is keeping discs in business. So there's GTA 6. The fans want GTA 6 physically. That would help platforms. They would make money from that, and then the factories and supply chains would keep going and make money from that, and everybody's happy. So of course we have to look to Xbox and Sony and just continue to voice our need for physical ownership of the games that we're buying. I feel like Rockstar, Take-Two need to stop acting like they don't have any power in this, and they really need to, you know, just be honest, I feel like, with themselves. And the long and the short of it is, if GTA 6 just came out and was available as a physical copy, we'd all shut up. Everybody would shut up. Cyberleaks would shut up. You know, nobody would be able to say shit, because they've done the thing. They've played their part in the industry. They've used their power and influence, you know, for good, for the benefit of players and their fans, right? That's my thoughts. So let me know yours in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you want to be. Otherwise, you can unsubscribe at any time. Anyway, bye. Yeah, he wanted to drive, but he drives like a bitch, so sorry, had to do it. Gotta do it. Okay, I'm done. Bye.